What does possibility mean to you?
That's a hard question.
Something that you can strive for.
That I'm able to do anything I set my mind to.
You're confident in yourself and you believe in yourself. Stuff that you could achieve.
I feel excited. Anything is possible when you're more confident.
Shoes are a huge part of that.
They are the most important part of my style.
You can express yourself.
In the right shoes, anything is possible.
DSW, countless shoes at brag-worthy prices. Imagine the possibilities.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
You're listening to the Telltale Channel. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. There is a movement right now on the right that is tracking the names of people who were in some way perceived to be opposed to Charlie Kirk. A searchable database of over 20,000 individuals celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder will soon be available on our website. I'm sure that you know that that's pretty loose. Celebrating his death probably means anybody talking about it that is not fully, behind Charlie Kirk 100%, which probably means me.
Or alternatively, someone who isn't denouncing it, basically.
And the list is up to 50,000 currently. It's on specifically a number of websites, but this one right here, Charlie Kirk was murdered, is an employee or a student of yours supporting political violence online. Submit them for review. Now, on the surface, this seems like, I'm opposed to political violence completely. What happened to him was absolutely wrong, absolutely unacceptable. There are no excuses for political violence, period. I did not want Charlie Kirk dead. I did not want him dead. I denounce it fully. But we're at a turning point in the United States right now where we are looking at, all right, genocides have to be planned, okay? You can't just go commit one. It's something that needs to be organized, and it's difficult, takes a lot of logistics. There were people behind the scenes that organized the genocide in Rwanda. There were people behind the scenes organizing the Holocaust, and that are organizing what's happening right now in Palestine with Israel. I don't think that we're there in the United States, but before something like that is organized, you have pogroms. And a good example of a pogrom is Kristallnacht, if you guys have ever heard of that, the Night of Broken Glass. It was this moment of intense violence. I think it was maybe spanned over the course of a few days, but specifically, synagogues are burned down, and shops destroyed, Jewish shops destroyed, people going house to house looking for or hunting Jews, that kind of thing. Really, really ugly stuff. Pogroms generally come in 3 stages. It starts with heated online rhetoric, a few flashpoint protests, isolated scuffles or vandalism, like, for example, the guy who went past that Charlie Kirk vigil and said Charlie Kirk sucks or whatever, and then was beaten half to death. That kind of thing, those isolated scuffles. New rumors about motive or identity, prominent influencers using retribution language without giving targets or dates. Spikes in doxing lists or watch lists on fringe platforms without logistics attached. These are the types of things we could expect if there were pogroms coming. Calls for patrols or presence outside campuses, media orgs, synagogues, mosques, LGBT venues, or abortion clinics, but phrased as peaceful. Anyway, the risk profile for this stuff is already happening, what I've just listed. There are 3 stages, and that's just stage 1, 2 pogroms, okay? Listen to this.
I hope when this is all over, you remember who fired first. You've tried to kill the president twice.
Who is you? I didn't do to anybody.
I was at home. Actually, I was in therapy when this happened, by the way.
Nobody did any of this stuff. It was a right-wing nutcase that did this to Donald Trump. Like he was a registered Republican. That had nothing to do with the left. And the Charlie Kirk thing, I mean, I guess we're going to find out what the deal is, but as of this moment, it looks like it was a Nick Fuentes fan. I don't know. Either way, I didn't do anything. The point is that this guy is demonizing a group, a very specific group, and he's applying motives to this group that don't exist.
And now you've assassinated man for talking.
So killing for people using their words is bad in his mind. Remember that, because it's going to change in a second.
Also, he wasn't just talking. He wasn't just using his words. He was actively spreading hate speech, racism, and violence.
We'll get there. Just bear with me and keep listening here.
You don't really want to do this, okay? 400 million plus firearms in this country, and they don't belong to the left, bro.
Well, a lot of them do, actually. There's a pretty big movement to arm the left. There's been a movement to arm trans people for a very long time, especially like the black community has been armed up for a long time. So that's not strictly true, but okay.
Kamala Harris has firearms, and she's very open about that too. She was the left. She's on the left.
Yeah. If you think it's okay to murder someone because of their opinion, you get what's coming to you. You and yours.
So he's saying he intends to take part in a pogrom, right? Said he wants to take part in a pogrom where they go door to door and do something psychotic. And the first step to pogroms is drawing up lists of people. Am I on the list? Who's on the list? Are you on the list? Did you say something positive about it? Who's on the list? These lists they're doxing lists that are being made publicly available to right-wing extremists. Let me just show you a few pictures here. I mean, screenshots. The Hodge twins, Nazi nutcases. They said, Justin, Elon Musk, on the assassination of Charlie Kirk, if they won't leave us in peace, then our choice is to fight or die. And somebody responds, that's what I'm talking about. I'm your Huckleberry. The sooner we get this show on the road, the sooner we are back to normal. DC, Chicago, New Orleans is next. If it were up to them, I wouldn't be alive either. Them, quote unquote, being me and you, apparently, in their delusional brain. I don't want anybody dead, okay? Nobody. Waiting for the Charlie Kirk volunteer militia to start accepting applications. Volunteer militia. That means there's organization behind it. There's organization happening right now. We got things like this. This is Derek Van Orden retweeting Libs of TikTok. Libs of TikTok said, teacher at Ellsworth Community School District in Wisconsin. He spewed hate. You can't be upset that he died. Imagine this person teaching your kids. They are specifically, this is domestic terrorism. That's what we're watching right now. This is domestic terrorism. And this congressman says, I represent Ellsworth in Congress. It's a beautiful town full of wonderful people, except this one. I'll be working to remove all federal funding, including grants and community-directed projects for the entire city of Ellsworth, unless this is rectified immediately. This is domestic terrorism.
Lowe's knows how to help make your home holiday ready for less. Get Select Style Selections vinyl flooring for just $1.99 per square foot and have it installed before the festivities begin. Our team can help you every step of the way. See a Lowe's Red Vest associate or visit Lowe's.com/holiday install to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save. Basic install only. Date restrictions apply. Subject to availability. Installed by independent contractors. See associate for details. Contiguous U.S. only.
Trying to lose weight? It's time to try Hers. At forhers.com/4u, you can access affordable doctor-trusted weight loss treatments tailored just for you. These include oral medication kits or compounded GLP-1 injections. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits start at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full up front. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help through Hers. Get started at forhers.com/4u to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/4u, forhers.com/4u. Paid for by Hims and Hers Health. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply.
Here's another. Matt Forney. Charlie Kirk being assassinated is the American Reichstag fire. If you're unfamiliar with the era, the Reichstag fire happened about a month into Hitler's control, after he took control as chancellor. It was lit by a Serb, a disgruntled dude who was upset over how Serbs were being treated, political persecution, things like that. And the Nazis started the conspiracy theory that it was a communist, quote unquote, that was doing it to hurt Hitler or whatever, you know, the same stupid nonsense we hear today. And used that as a justification to demonize communists and enact political retribution against his political enemies. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally, so it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult. And you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. This person says, it's the American Reichstag fire. It's time for a complete crackdown on the left. So they're in favor of the Reichstag fire moment, I guess. Every Democratic politician must be arrested and the party banned under RICO. Every libtard commentator must be shut down. Stochastic terrorism. They caused this. How many people know that the Reichstag fire was started by a Dutch communist? That's a Nazi conspiracy theory. That's not true. Who hoped to inspire a workers' uprising in Germany. And then, goes through this whole thing. Anyway, the point is we are facing a very dangerous moment. And I don't believe in guns. I don't think they should be in society. But I am now saying it is probably time for people to own one for their own safety. Check this out.
Call for a civil war. Call for a civil war and let us do our thing. Let us go door to door, street by street, and clean this country.
Door to door, street by street.
And clean this country.
Because everyone that's been celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, you're just as guilty, just as complicit, and you should be held just as accountable.
At no point have I ever been in favor of it, celebrated it, said this is a good thing in any way, shape, or form. But something tells me that I'm probably on the list anyway. When they intend to go door to door, I'm on that list.
So don't worry about it, because we're going to start kicking it off here real soon.
400 million plus firearms in this country.
Oh yeah, we already saw that one. Here, check the next one here.
But you can always tell when the other side is bankrupt, when they have to resort to this kind of cowardice.
Again, I believe that the person was a right-winger, not a left-winger. But okay.
But for those of you that are celebrating...
We are going to... Like, this is all over the place right now. Okay, it's hard to be on the internet and not see these types of things being put out there. This is a flashpoint. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in my entire life.
Eat at Harbor Freight in Cookville in the parking lot at 11 a.m. this Sunday. So everybody that wants to meet like-minded individuals, be there.
Fight back! White man, fight back! White man, fight back!
White men fight back. So let me give you a little bit more insight into pogroms and what they are and how they work. And I have one more clip to show you after we go through that. Here's stage 2. We're already in stage 1, obviously, of pogroms, right? Stage 2, localized retaliation bursts. What it looks like: short notice rallies or vigils that morph into confrontations, targeted vandalism, small groups attempting intimidation at perceived enemy sites, abortion clinics, things like that. Prominent figure openly names acceptable targets. Show up at XYZ campus or newsroom. A viral misinformation clip alleging celebration of the killing by a group, real or fabricated. And here are some early indicators: event flyers with time or place plus suggested gear, car caravan chatter, security teams, recruiting. We're seeing that. We're in stage 2 of pogroms right now. Cross-platform convergence, Telegram to X to Facebook, sharing the same location and time frame. Likely geography, college towns, mid-sized metros with recent protest history, swing county suburbs where opposing groups already clash. The risk profile for this one, this is happening. Night of violence near the announced spots, bystander risk within a few blocks, copycats the following weekend. We can expect this kind of thing on Friday nights, Saturday nights, certainly Flashpoint around the time of the funeral, around the 1-week anniversary of his death and the 1-month anniversary of his death. And then here's stage 3 of pogroms, a coordinated campaign or pogrom adjacency. What it looks like: multi-city, semi-organized actions targeting specific communities, religious, ethnic, LGBT, immigrant, journalists, over multiple nights. Explicit lists, which we have now. Tacit political cover from a few local officials. Uneven policing. Here are some typical triggers for it. A charismatic hub, media network, or militia front publishes a day of action toolkit with target categories and roles: scouts, drivers, streamers. A second catalytic incident, like another shooting, framed as proof of war, plus a sympathetic local sheriff or DA signaling tolerance. Here are some early indicators: shared spreadsheets or maps of targets, supply asks like radios, bear spray, shields, hotel block bookings, coordinated legal cover memes, stand your ground night, citizen defense, that kind of thing. Here's the risk profile. Even if short-lived, it would produce clustered assaults and arsons and widespread intimidation. The way that this could be stopped would be governor-level posture statements, mutual aid hotlines, federal liaison teams, but I don't expect the federal government to step in here because Donald Trump said he doesn't care about right-wing violence. He said that. He said, I don't care about right-wing violence. I care about left-wing radicals. So no support from Trump. No support from the FBI. At best, we can hope for local community support and governors if you're in a friendly state. This is a video about a Christian nationalist describing how he's being subjected to a genocide like what happened in Rwanda by atheists right now.
When the Nazis attacked Jewish stores and got away with it, that told people persecution, real genocidal persecution, is down the road.
He has no idea what he's talking about, obviously.
Right now in America, our government and the leftist institutions that support it, from the Ivy League to large numbers of churches, to the mainstream of the Republican Party.
By the way, this is from 2022. It isn't recent. And this is John Zimmerak on Eric Metaxas's show.
Supports it by being afraid to fight it. It's reminding me of the buildup in the 1990s in Rwanda, the buildup towards genocide. The Hutus were the majority, but they weren't as wealthy or successful as the minority Tutsis. So they resented them. They wanted their stuff.
That's not what happened.
I don't even think schools teach it like that.
No, he's completely full of it. The Hutu were the persecuted minority, though they were 90% of the country, I think. The Tutsi, T-U-T-S-I, were 10%. And when the British colonized the region, they gave the Tutsi tribe members better positions in government or whatever because they were taller and lighter skinned and looked more like British people and thus superior and, all the nonsense. Anyway, the Hutu kind of worked themselves into a blood frenzy like we're seeing right now. And it got to the point where they were fully genocidal. And the Reichstag fire moment, The Charlie Kirk assassination moment for them was a plane being shot down with the president in it. And that sparked everything. And they got on the radio the next morning and said, it's time to cut the tall trees. And they had actually planned a genocide. It wasn't just pogroms. It was an actual genocide. And they went door to door and gave people the option of purchasing a bullet because it was expensive. And if they couldn't purchase the bullet, then they got the machete. They would hurry these Tutsi people into these churches to hide them, and they would lock the doors and set it on fire and pick them off as they jumped out the windows. It was really ugly, and it went on for 100 days, and nobody did anything. The United States sat back and watched. Britain pulled out of Rwanda and then sat back and watched. I mean, it was really, really bad. 91, I think, maybe. Anyway, it's bizarre that this guy's describing that situation as like the Hutu were jealous of the... God, it's insane. Anyway.
Minority Tutsis. So they resented them. They wanted their stuff. They wanted their power. They wanted their money. And
That's not... Okay.
Started demonizing the Tutsis, calling them cockroaches on radio shows.
Does that sound familiar? Vermin?
News hosts would refer to Tutsi cockroaches. The way I see people talking about white people, about Christians, about so-called Christian nationalists, they talk about us the same way.
Complete, pure, and total, unadulterated delusion. To think that the left is talking about Christians like they're like cockroaches, like they're about to genocide them. Like what? Again, this is like 3 years old. This mindset has been here for a while now, and it is catalyzing or metastasizing. Charlie Kirk's death has sparked a very disturbing moment. And I'm telling you, it's time. I don't care how much you hate guns. It's time to get one. Just be ready for this and rely on your community as much as you can and hide your personal information if at all possible, because it's about to get real. Tell me your thoughts. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Kash Patel on the right. He is the current FBI director. And this is him on the show, Stu Peters, on the Stu Peters podcast. Now, if you don't know Stu Peters, he is a Nazi, like full-blown Sieg-heiling, Jew-hating, Hitler-loving Nazi, that kind of person. He also likes to sue people for saying that, but I'm very comfortable in saying it without fear of being sued or anything like that. I'm comfortable saying I can prove that he's, at the very least, very supportive of Hitler's ideas. Anyway, I want to talk about Kash Patel because the other day, in reference to like the Charlie Kirk attack, he said this.
Have the watch.
Trying to lose weight? It's time to try Hers. At forhers.com/4u, you can access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss treatments tailored just for you. These include oral medication kits or compounded GLP-1 injections. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits start at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full upfront. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help through Hers. Get started at forhers.com/4u to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/4u, forhers.com/4u. Paid for by Hims & Hers Health. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply. Weight loss solutions are not one size fits all. Hers makes it simpler to get started and stick with a weight loss plan, backed by expert-guided online care that puts your weight loss goals first. These include oral medication kits or compounded GLP-1 injections. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits start at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full upfront. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized loss treatment plans that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help through Hers. Get started at forhers.com/4u to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/4u, forhers.com/4u. Paid for by Hims and Hers Health. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
I will see you in Valhalla. I'll see you in Valhalla. Why would he say that? Charlie Kirk was a Christian. What does that mean? I happen to know what that means. I wrote this book called Was Hitler an Atheist? On World War II. It's on Amazon Audible if you want to read it. Let me give you a little bit of history of not just the Nazis in Germany, but the Nazi movement after it left Germany and was kind of exported to America. The thought leaders, or one of the major thought leaders of the Nazi Party, was named Houston Stewart Chamberlain, and he wrote a book called The Foundations of the 19th Century, released in 1899. And it was incredibly important to Nazi ideology. Houston Stewart Chamberlain was born in the UK, but was like super obsessed with Aryan myths. Aryanism was this concept that originally came out of the Proto-Indo-European or the Indo-Iranian region. Almost the Middle East is like Southwest Asia, kind of, that region near India. The word Aryan originally meant noble. It originally translated to noble, but there were epic poems about Aryans, kind of like we have the Odyssey and the Iliad, you know, or the Epic of Gilgamesh. These epic stories about this group called the Aryans, who were strong and smart and beautiful, and they could do anything. And Houston Stewart Chamberlain and others in Germany at the time became obsessed with these epic poems written in the Indo-Iranian region. And Houston Stewart Chamberlain even learned Sanskrit so he could read them in their original language. That's how into them he was. He was one of the thought leaders of the Nazi movement, and Alfred Rosenberg came along after Chamberlain died and continued on in his stead. He continued on to write more stuff on the subject. So baked right into Nazi ideology was this weird obsession with Aryanism, with this, like, with epic stories about superhumans and stuff. And they were obsessed with Norse mythology, like the god Fenrir and Thor and Odin, or what they called Vodin, Woden, is what they called him at the time. They were obsessed with it, like the Nazi Party was. They were 95% Christian in Germany, 3.5% quote unquote believed in God, 1.5% did not believe in God. But it was all over the place. It was widespread how much they loved Norse mythology, and it heavily influenced Nazi ideology generally. Like this idea of toughness and battle and stuff came from their understanding or view of the Vikings, for example. As time went on, the Nazi Party became more and more hostile toward church institutions like the Catholic Church. Not hostile toward Christianity necessarily. Like I said, most were still Christian. The vast majority were all still Christian. But Hitler hated the Catholic institution, or even the Protestant institution, in part because it was an institution that he could not directly control, and he persecuted them heavily.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
So time goes on, and the Nazi Party is ramping up persecution against the Christian church. And some of the inner circle, like Himmler, for example, were openly into Norse mythology. Like, they call themselves pagans. Pagan in this context really means just a theist that is not Christian, Jewish, or Muslim, basically, from the three main religions. So they call themselves pagans. Himmler was pagan, obsessed with Thor and Woden, and battle, and toughness, and Valhalla. When it was exported from Germany into the United States, the United States was not as religious as Germany was. It just wasn't. It still isn't. Germany was so religious, it's ridiculous. So when it was like imported here, People like George Lincoln Rockwell, one of the earliest openly Nazi people in the United States, embraced the kind of pagan / like Norse mythology belief system that Himmler had and that other high-ranking Nazis had. That's kind of how neo-Nazi belief systems in the United States shed their Christian beliefs and took on paganism as like their primary belief system. William Luther Pierce is the guy that wrote the Turner Diaries, and he was mentored by George Lincoln Rockwell. George Lincoln Rockwell was around in the 50s to the 70s, I think. William Luther Pierce was the 70s to the 90s, if I remember. And then the torch was passed to somebody new. So we have a Nazi movement in the United States that is predominantly anti-Christian. And we also have a Nazi movement now that is predominantly Catholic. The Groypers, Nick Fuentes, those types of people. Anyway, to bring it back to the point that I was reaching here, when we hear Kash Patel say things like this,
Rest now, brother. We have the watch.
We all know those GLP-1 injections work wonders, but that price tag almost gave me a heart attack when my insurance denied coverage. I was staring at a choice between paying my mortgage or paying for weight loss. Talk about a rock and a hard place. Then I found Elevate Health compounded semaglutide at just $58 with payment plans that don't require a second mortgage. Same medication, same results, but a price that real folks can actually afford. Visit joinelevate.com today. That's JOINELEVATE.com. Your wallet will be as happy as your waistline. This medication is not FDA approved.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
It's clear as day, a shout out, a call out to Nazism. It couldn't possibly be clearer to people who know the history of the Nazi Party and their kind of religious movements and the sway and all of that other stuff. And on top of all of that, you guys remember the Christchurch attack forever ago? The last words of the Christchurch shooter, I believe on Twitter, he posted, "If I don't survive the attack, goodbye, God bless, and I will see you all in Valhalla." This is a super common term or super common expression used in neo-Nazi circles because of its connection to Norse mythology. And it doesn't really surprise me to find that Kash Patel, the FBI director, is a neo-Nazi when he goes on this neo-Nazis podcast all the time.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Always love coming on your show.
Kash Patel, thank you so much for making the time to be here with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate it. See you soon.
I got to go, Kash. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks,
up against a hard break here. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Stu.
Kash Patel, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Stu. Appreciate it. You've got a great show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
He was on there like 8 times or something like that. And just to establish Stu Peters' position on Hitler,
they have to say these outlandish things to make up for the fact that if it weren't for this sort of ridiculous cartoonish death narrative that we've been sold, a lot of people would be looking at the 1930s through 1940s saying, not only does this make a lot of sense, not only does this kind of all add up and history play itself out in the way that we'd expect it to, but there's a lot of similarities to today. And you can't afford to have people start to make those connections. So they come in with this just outlandish narrative where it's if you put it in a movie, people would say, I didn't like that movie because I just thought it was a little too cartoonish. I didn't think it was realistic. And that's the narrative we've been sold. And to make
talking about the Holocaust, he thinks that the Holocaust is so outlandishly evil that nobody should believe it. That's Stu Peters' guest. Dude's name is John Miller.
I think it was realistic. And that's the narrative we've been sold. And to make Hitler out to be this obscene monster, that's the only way they can essentially remedy this story so that you can say it's clear who the bad guys were and it's clear who the good guys were. Because when you take that part out of the narrative, then it's not really as clear who the evil ones are.
No, it's perfectly clear who the evil ones were in Germany.
When you take out Hitler being a bad guy and killing a ton of people, you don't have a world war. You don't have you don't have a Holocaust. If you take out Hitler killing I don't know, what's the number?
6 million?
6 million Jewish people and whatever.
Give or take.
Yeah. If you take out that entire thing, the history doesn't exist. That's the entire reason. Like, that's the entire thing that was an issue.
I think the issue was that Hitler tried to move beyond Germany. If he had just stayed in Germany and not tried to take France and everywhere else and committed the Holocaust right there, nobody would have done anything. We didn't help because we were trying to save Jews. We didn't give a shit about Jews in the United States back then. We turned a whole boat full of refugees, Jewish refugees, away in the United States, and they went and died in a concentration camp after that. So the reason that the world had a problem with Hitler in the first place was not for his civil rights violations. It was because of his wider ambitions. But to back up what you were saying, sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally. So it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult, and you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. So anyway, here's another clip from Stu Peters, if that isn't enough.
It was war. Horrific things happened. Lots of people died. It was World War II. I don't believe that World War II happened as a result of the Holocaust. I don't believe that that was the reason for the war. And
that's correct. I mean, it was because he tried to exit and go into other countries, of course.
I'm asking a lot of questions about that. People don't like when I ask a lot of questions about that.
No, I don't have any problem with you asking questions. But you're not asking questions. You're making statements in the form of a question and pretending that you're just curious about it. I had questions too, and I went in search of the answers, and when I found them, I said, how about that? Isn't that interesting? And moved on with my life. I didn't zero in on this and claim that I know more than historians.
Hitler may have been an evil dictator, a ruthless person that murdered millions of people. I don't know, because of the propaganda that surrounds every war. But for this, wasn't he a hero?
He might have been an evil dictator and a terrible person. We might have hated him, but wasn't he a hero in the end? Wasn't he just so great?
That's psychotic. He's saying, wasn't he a hero for attacking the trans community and the LGBT community broadly?
He said it didn't matter that he was a dictator and an awful person and killed millions, as long as he killed transgenders.
Yep.
No, because of the propaganda that surrounds every war. But for this, wasn't he a hero? Wasn't Hitler doing the right thing when he ordered these books to be burned and these places to be stormed by force?
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's a Nazi, right? I'm comfortable saying he's a Nazi. He literally sued somebody, Newsweek maybe, for saying Stu Peters said that Hitler was a hero. According to him, that's what they said. Isn't that what he said? Anyway, the point is, Kash Patel knows Stu Peters, has been on his podcast like 8 different times, hangs out with him. They talk. Stu Peters is a Nazi. Kash Patel, the FBI director, talks about Valhalla, of all things. It's clear as day that Kash Patel is a Nazi, right? I'm comfortable saying that. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon.
I don't know if you guys heard about this Hyundai plant raid where they arrested a bunch of people. ICE arrested a bunch of people. Well, this woman is the one who called ICE on this Hyundai plant. We'll talk about the Hyundai plant in a second, but just listen to what she said here. Her justification for turning them in to the Gestapo.
There were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site yesterday near Savannah.
I think there were 432 people arrested, not illegals, quote unquote.
And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE. But it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you. These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid. Some are being trafficked.
So you made their lives better. I see. You solved problems. You fixed things for them by reporting them to the government, who will now put them in detention facilities, maybe never to be seen again. We haven't seen a lot of people again after they've been turned in. And for the record, how do you know any of this? Do you work for this company? Did you work there? Did you do any
Did you put any time or effort into trying to improve conditions for people? The answer to all of that is no. She has no clue what's going on there. I would be willing to bet. And I would put money on the fact that she did not try to better conditions in any way. But let's talk about the raid before we continue her video. I just want to show you what we're going to listen to in a second. U.S. immigration agents arrest hundreds at Hyundai plant, mostly Koreans.
In video released by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Asian workers are seen shackled and getting onto a bus after an ICE raid on a Hyundai Motor car battery facility in Georgia. 300 Koreans were arrested in Thursday's raid, and on Saturday, South Korea's president ordered all-out efforts to swiftly respond. Foreign Minister Chu Hyun told an emergency government meeting that he was deeply concerned by the incident.
Why do you think foreign governments are concerned? Do you think that they believe that these people are going to be treated fairly and that they're going to be, given due process and they can trust the system and all of that? Of course not. Everybody, including the people on the outside of the system, including the people in other countries, recognize what's happening right now and how deeply disturbing it is.
He said the president, quote, emphasized that in the course of U.S. law enforcement, the rights of our people and the economic activities of South Korean investors in the U.S. must not be unjustly infringed upon. Thursday's arrest of some 475 workers, including over 300 Koreans, at the plant near Savannah was the largest single-site enforcement operation in the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's history. The special agent in charge of Homeland Security investigations in Georgia and Alabama said in a Saturday statement, quote, "This operation sends a clear message that those who exploit the system and undermine our workforce will be held accountable." But
these people live in the United States, right? And contribute to our economy and stuff like that. The money isn't just being lit on fire or something, right? These people live here and are under the jurisdiction of the Constitution and deserve and are entitled to legally constitutional protections. But they don't care about any of that, of course.
But the arrest could deepen tensions between Washington and Seoul, a key ally and investor in the U.S. The countries have been at odds over the details of a trade deal that includes $350 billion of investments. At a summit last month, South Korea pledged $150 billion in U.S. investments, including $26 billion from Hyundai Motor.
Straight up disturbing what's happening, and she is to thank for all of it. One more time.
There were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site yesterday near Savannah. And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE.
I can't believe she's coming out here and saying this with her face and everything. Tory Branham? Is that it?
But it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you. These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid.
You have no idea if that's true. You have absolutely no basis for that claim.
Some are being trafficked.
Again, no basis for that.
They send money home to their country. They give money to their handler. They have
their handler?
Hardly anything left. They live in homes 5 families deep, have no quality of life.
All right, so this is very similar to the Trump administration and their action, quote unquote, against the Department of Education. People like Ryan Walters or whoever from Oklahoma will say, we have really, really low education standards. It's terrible. We're our students are dumb as dog when they enter the workforce. They can barely count. And so what's the solution according to the Trump administration? Eliminate the Department of Education. Just get rid of it completely. You want smarter students? Get rid of schools is the answer. It's her same logic that she's giving us here. These people are suffering terribly, and what's the answer? Make them suffer worse. Not try to fix things, not improve conditions, not work with, tell them we're going to do something about it if you don't start paying employees better or something. No, turn them into the government, who is going to take them to a facility that we will, never see again. We have no idea where they're even going. I know somebody, we'll put it this way. I know somebody that is very close who's been taken by ICE, and it's been months and we have no idea where they are. They could be dead. They could be in a ditch somewhere. They could have been buried in a mass grave. I have no fucking clue. I don't know. I have no idea. Will I ever know again? Are they in a prison somewhere? This is the behavior of a fascist regime. And to turn in 450 people like that is evil. That is evil. You know, all that Christian nationalists have been talking about, how they are treated like Jews in Germany, how they're constantly made fun of and all of that, like Jews in Germany. Or, you know, those anti-vaxxers who like to say, I'm treated just like Jews in Germany because I don't want to get vaccinated. You know, those types of people? We really are, not we, I guess, the United States really is treating people like Jews in Germany. There really is ethnic cleansing taking place in the United States right now. There's ethnic cleansing happening right now. And you just contributed to it. You just added to it. You facilitated that. I'm sitting over here in my house ready to take people in if the opportunity arises, if the need arises. You know, I've mentally prepared myself for this. I'm ready to hide people if that situation comes to be. What would you be doing in Germany? Tory Branham. I think we know exactly what you would have done in Germany. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this video, or I'm sorry, this footage, this image. This is a Jewish woman running from Hitler Youth in Germany, running for her life because they were attacking her with baseball bats and clubs and stuff. What would you be doing in this situation, Tory Branham? She would have been the woman that outed her. She would have been the one that told everybody about this person. She would have been the one to blow the whistle and call the Gestapo and do what they call denounce her as non-Aryan. And she's on here bragging about it.
Have no quality of life. Modern day slavery. So if you think that ICE is just going in and ripping people out of their jobs, these hardworking people that want a better life, well,
that is literally what they just did.
Guess what? Politicians have really screwed these people because when they came here, they thought they were...
Politicians have screwed these people, so I'm going to screw them even more. Yeah, genius. That's a fantastic idea. You're a thinker, Tory. You're a thinker.
They thought they were, you know, hey, the border's open, we're coming in, we're going to get the 5-star treatment, and we can go to the big Walmart, and we can live in a 5-star.
What kind of a delusion do you have to live in to think that this is how immigrants or refugees are living? That you think that they're going to come in here and live in 5-star hotels or whatever? What are you smoking?
Hotel, and that's just not how it is.
No, it's not how it is.
Just not how it is. It's very bad conditions, very inhumane, and the Biden administration started a humanitarian crisis. So y'all can't just...
This is just bullshit. All right. The vast majority of immigrants that are in the United States, or that were before Trump started his insane nonsense, didn't come into the United States under Biden. Roughly the same number of immigrants came into the U.S. under Biden as came in under Donald Trump's first term, give or take. This is just fictitious trash. You know what this is? It's an excuse that she tells herself to sleep at night.
Look at it like they're ripping good people off the job. They're probably saving their lives in the long run.
Saving their lives in the long run. That's how you sleep at night, huh? That's what you tell yourself. Absolutely unforgivable. She is a collaborator. And when the pendulum swings, Democrats take positions of power back, and people go to prison for what they've done. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, whoever else, J.D. Vance, whoever. When that happens, when Trump dies, God willing by natural causes in 50 years, whatever, whenever that happens, and the pendulum swings, Democrats take control, and all of those people go to prison, you're going to be marked as a collaborator that you are. You know what they did to collaborators in France after World War II? Women who slept with German soldiers during World War II, do you know what they did? If a woman was accused of, or if she slept with a German soldier, after France reclaimed their territory, they shaved their head and painted a swastika on their forehead. So they would forever be marked, so we knew who they were. Here's them shaving the woman's head again. Here's another woman having her head shaved, so everybody knows who you are. We're going to remember. Tory Branham, and I hope no harm comes to you. I'm not saying that at all. I don't want anybody hurt. I am a complete pacifist, but I'm not going to forget. I'm going to remember what you did, and I hope everybody else remembers too. Just so that we're clear what you brought on these people. Apparently, this woman was in the Hyundai raid, and she hid in the ceiling for 6 hours from ICE. I have my wife here who knows a little bit of Spanish. I'm hoping that maybe we can kind of make our way through what she's saying as we go. Welcome.
Hi.
She's hiding in the ceiling from ICE. And that woman said she called ICE to protect these people.
Today, on September 4th, ICE came to the Hyundai in Savannah. Something along the lines of they have the building surrounded. And so we're just going to hope that they're going to pass. Or can you go back to the last one? So I think that this is more of just we're going to wait and see what's going to happen. Sorry, I am rusty. I apologize.
That's okay. It's useful to have a little bit of information.
I haven't heard anything.
She's hiding in the ceiling at this Hyundai.
Nobody should be forced to feel like they have to go to these extremes. Like, this is inhumane. Like, nobody should be putting this woman in this position.
And I brought you in like after, but in the previous section, I played a woman saying she was the one that called, and she called ICE on them because they were being mistreated by Hyundai, and she was doing them a favor.
That's sick.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, here she says she heard a helicopter.
6 hours.
Helicopters above, I believe. I'm not sure. So she's saying that 2.5 hours have gone by. And she's there. No. Go. Okay. It's not that she's there. It's. I think she's referring to ICE. She's saying that ICE is here and they're all around, and they're close. She's been hiding for 6 hours.
Espérame en la entrada de aquí afuera, da la vuelta así. Atiendo a la esquina.
Any idea?
I think someone was waiting for her at the entrance of the Hyundai Center. And I think she's referring to ICE, that they were all over all over the building, all outside, everywhere.
En toda la esquina, ya vi tu carro, tu carro en la casa, el caso. Dale.
that was the last piece, I guess.
I'm tripping up over Escondido. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine.
She's saying that they have to just wait. They have to be hopeful, I believe, that
Well-
someone will do something or other. I apologize. It has been a very long time since I've spoken Spanish regularly, so I'm incredibly out of practice.
No, that's fine, but just so you have a little bit of context, this is the woman that called ICE on him.
There were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site.
That's okay. First off, that's really disgusting. Calling somebody an illegal, like that's inherently dehumanizing. You're reducing someone down to an adjective, like
Literally hiding in the ceiling.
it. Like you can't sit there and say, "Oh yeah, there's a bunch of illegals here." Like no. There's human beings there who apparently this woman like created the situation in which people were forced to hide, like take extreme lengths to hide to maintain their own safety and liberty. Like if she's going to sit here and be proud of that, she's the worst type of human being.
Yep.
Yesterday near Savannah. And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE.
Her eyes are gleeful.
Yeah. And like I already went through this, but you know, she basically goes on to make excuses for why she did it.
There's no excuse. Like no, it doesn't matter what you think you're doing. The fact of the matter is that a woman like this, she would have been complicit with the Nazi regime.
It's exactly what I said.
She is sitting there and reporting her community members and her neighbors, the people who make up like her kids' friends. And, you know, basically, how dare you subject your community to terror all because you are filled with hate?
I said this and pointed this image out, this famous picture. I don't know if you've seen this, but this is a picture of a French woman after France was liberated from the Nazis. All the women that had German soldiers for boyfriends had their heads shaved and swastikas painted on their foreheads for that. And I said, God willing, nothing bad happens to this woman. I'm a pacifist. I don't believe in any violent action, but people are going to remember her. Mm-hmm. People are going to remember her when everything falls apart and the pendulum swings.
And one day she is going to have to live with herself for this. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but I have seen the effect of cognitive dissonance on people who are waking up from the MAGA regime. It for a lot of them, from what I've seen, it's an unbearable cognitive dissonance. It causes acute pain. And I hope that she has to live with that the rest of her life, knowing that she brought down terror on her community because she couldn't get over her hatred.
She deserves to understand that fear anyway.
And you said that she justified this because Hyundai was engaging in like bad business practices.
It goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you. These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid. Some are being trafficked. They send money home to their country. They give money to their handler. They have hardly anything left.
This is just all complete nonsense. This is all lies.
Two things can be true at once. You can have a business that is taking advantage of the fact that we have basically the worst immigration system in the world, in that we don't let anyone in. There's a 30-year waiting list. That's horrific. And there will be businesses that use that to exploit people. That can be true. And it can also be true that there is nothing that gives you the right to inflict terror on the people around you. She's not acting here out of concern. If she was acting out of concern, she would be engaging in advocacy to, one, try to change the immigration process so that people have an avenue. Two, it really try to advocate for stronger human and civil rights enforcements in this country so that regardless of your immigration status, you can feel free to assert your rights without fear of retaliation. And three, she could be doing advocacy and being part of the solution towards the exploitative business practices that happen under capitalism. She's basically using any justification she can come up with in order to live with herself in the knowledge that she essentially called the Gestapo on a bunch of people who are just trying to get through their day. And I am sorry, I'm not. There is nothing that justifies her behavior. And you can tell that she's not too torn up about it in this moment, because she still has that gleeful look in her eyes, though she's proud of what she did.
She's a monster. She's going to be remembered as such. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Steve Deese. He went on an insane tirade. Listen to this. He's talking about trans people here.
This cannot be tolerated in human, polite society, period.
Being trans. He likes to put in long pauses.
It cannot happen. We will not welcome it. We will not have it. It will not be funded. It will not be encouraged. It will be criminalized. It will be punished.
I'm sorry, but who do you think is encouraging or funding being trans? What does that even mean exactly?
I personally fund being trans. Everyone I know, everyone I meet, I pay them $50 and they become trans immediately. It's an instantaneous
you're not paying
reaction.
Trans people. You're paying people to be trans.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
You cannot do this.
Dude, okay.
It is very clear.
No,
Pause.
he really did pause. He was so dead silent for a second, and still,
We cannot do this.
I thought the video ended for a second. Okay.
It is very clear, and all the evidence continues to mount, that opening this latch of Pandora's box is too much lunacy for even this most technologically enlightened, advanced society.
You mean freedom?
God's ever permitted to sustain. And so if we can't, it's not sustainable. It cannot happen.
So
Wow.
I can't tell when this video ends. Oh my God.
So onto the ash heap of history it goes.
But being trans, onto the ash heap of history. I'm sorry, man. People have been trans for a very, very long time. Like millennia. Trans people have been around for millennia.
There used to be missing persons cases where the person just was trans and they just ran away.
And in fact, there's a section of the Bible where Jesus, I believe in the book of Matthew, talks about gender non-conforming people. Here you go.
I'm really liking this entire outfit.
Yeah, this guy's awesome. Eunuchs at the time, people who had their twig and berries cut off, at a young age, they didn't go through male puberty, which means they stayed, I'm not sure the correct term here, but they never developed sexual character, like primary or secondary sexual characteristics or whatever. They don't grow beards or anything, and their voices stay high pitched. The men do, the males. And Jesus talked about those people in the book of Matthew, believe it or not.
Jesus said, you love, period. Jesus said, you welcome people, period. Jesus said, you extend radical hospitality, period. Jesus did not say one single word of condemnation about anyone based on sexual orientation or gender identity. In fact, the only mention Jesus really makes of it is this passage in Matthew. Maybe you're familiar with it. It's actually an affirmation. It's buried in ancient language, and it's surrounded by this weird teaching about divorce. But what Jesus said is this, that if you are a eunuch, and you have been a eunuch since birth, that was an ancient way of saying that if you differed from what was expected in terms of what we would call today sexual orientation or gender identity, that if you were a eunuch and you had been a eunuch from birth, that you were loved by God.
So Steve Deese, being the Christian nationalist that he is completely out of line with Jesus' teachings, which at the end of the day is what matters, right? You can say something?
That's pretty typical for Christian nationalists. I genuinely don't believe I've met a Christian nationalist who follows any of the Bible's teaching directly word for word. There's not a single one that I've ever heard of and like researched.
Totally agreed. And there's a reason for that. The reason is at least in part because the Bible is impossible to not cherry pick. It was written by dozens of authors over hundreds of years. Hundreds, not thousands, but hundreds of years. Varying levels of wealth and power and whatever, and prestige.
And ideas.
And it, as a result, it's impossible to not cherry pick the Bible because any moral prescription it lays down is reversed a chapter later. So anyway, that's part of the reason why you never find that. But I'll tell you one quick, direct way to be a good Christian is to follow the teachings of Christ, right?
Someone asked what Christian nationalist means.
Christian nationalism is, all right. Nationalism is usually paired with another word, like white nationalism or Christian nationalism or whatever, black nationalism. And it means that you believe that your group has a unique right to rule and all other groups are invalidated and nullified and they don't have a right to rule. So Christian nationalists believe that Christians have a unique right to rule, and they'll come up with all kinds of complicated reasons for why they believe that. Black nationalists want to deport all white people from an area and live on a commune with only black people. They're not that common, black nationalists, but they're around. If you use just the word nationalist, then it generally just applies to the country you're talking about. Germany was full of nationalists. The Nazi Party stood for Nationalsozialistische, National Socialists, or more accurately, Social Nationalists would also describe the movement. They were nationalists. So anyway, socialism at the time was not what we understand it to be today. It was just supporting blue-collar workers or whatever. Anyway, that's what Christian nationalism is, and this guy's most definitely a Christian nationalist, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
So back to the big long pauses.
What would we do with a psychiatrist who recommends, or a school counselor who recommends that a daughter go home and get raped by her dad? What would we do to that person?
So I guess he's implying that being trans is tantamount to being taken advantage of by parents.
That came out of nowhere. I was not expecting that.
Buckle up, because I have a couple more videos from this guy, and we got that ahead.
Would they be charged with a crime? Yes. Would they lose their accreditations? Yes. So what should happen here? That is what should happen here. And nothing less.
Did his psychiatrist, go home, or, did he go into his psychiatrist and they go, you should go home and become a woman? That's
brave of you
really
to
good...
assume he has a psychiatrist.
If he had a psychiatrist, he wouldn't be like this. That's a good
chick
point.
Stuff. Yeah, that's chick stuff. Psychiatrists.
You're right.
Or you're going to have more. You'll bury more bodies. You'll have more children that'll never come home again. More.
Seriously.
We
why
should have,
the long? Hang on. Why the long pauses? I don't understand.
I feel like we should have edited this.
How's your resolve now? How's your resolve now? Is this on? Do we know the stakes we're playing for here yet? Has the message been received?
He looks like he's about to cry.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's jealous.
You cannot share a country with this. So don't.
This guy is dangerous, in all seriousness. He's dangerous. And that's not even close to the first example of him acting like this or saying this insane stuff. Here, check this one out. One of the big problems with the guy is that he lives in another reality. Like, he's forming his worldview around incorrect information. Like, he's creating this belief system around falsehoods. And here is yet one more example of this dude just laying down insane nonsense based on that worldview.
Can you watch a program without literally live sporting event, news show, whether we're covering them, talking about them, promoting them? Can you listen to a podcast?
Talking about trans people again. This is kind of his pet issue, I guess.
That doesn't include some reference to drag queens today.
Okay, drag queens. Yes. Literally, this wouldn't have even come up if not for this guy.
I love drag queens.
I don't understand why he's so obsessed with this. Like, I don't listen to like any podcasts that talk about drag queens or whatever. Like, what kind of stuff are you listening to that it's constantly got drag queens in it? I'm all for it. Listen to your heart's content, but then don't complain that that's like all that's on.
I've noticed that most people don't think about drag queens, trans people, gay people, unless they are crazy homophobic people. If you're just like a normal chill person, their lives do not affect you in any sort of way. But the second you become a Christian nationalist or you are self-declared homophobic, transphobic, whatever, now it's taking up every single second of your day.
It's like they dig for it. They're looking. They want to find examples of this. It's insane and it's straight up sad.
Is it possible?
Is it possible to find a TV show without like trans people in it or drag queens? Yes. Can you name one that has that stuff in it, like drag queens or whatever? I don't know of a single TV show actually that has drag queens in it.
I don't know of a TV show that has drag queens in it. I know of one singular TV show that had one singular, not even like fully trans, just a non-binary person. And that's because I looked up the TV show because I wanted to find that representation.
Absolutely insane.
Anywhere, pro or con.
Yeah, and okay, so in addition to the pauses, I'm going to give this guy a little bit of friendly advice. Work on your neck, okay? It seems to be non-existent at this immediate moment.
I mean, they're as mainstream as it gets.
Drag queens. Okay.
I haven't seen any videos of drag queens at all until a song on TikTok started trending and I looked it up.
And you know why that was trending? Because of people like this. Nobody cared about drag queens or trans people or whatever until people like this started like melting down over it. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally. So it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult. And you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that.
Even when RuPaul is saying, well, we're the ones that come in and groom the kids.
Please, dude.
I've never heard RuPaul say that.
And I totally forgot about RuPaul. I forgot that RuPaul existed for a minute there. And yeah, this sounds like nonsense.
Come in and groom the kids. That's what he means. We're the ones that come in and groom the kids.
Did he just say that's what he means? By what? What did he say that makes you think that that's what he meant?
Also, people don't just admit to that. Like, famous people, they don't just say, oh, you know, I'm going to get home today. I think my plans are probably groom some children. No one's saying that, even if it is true.
He's completely full of it and disgusting.
That's how you can tell. That's how you can tell someone's lying when they say this person said, because they didn't.
There's another way of telling is when they use weasel words. Like, I'm very careful not to use weasel words. You know weasel words?
Mm-mm.
In case other audience members or whatever don't. Weasel words are when somebody like this guy right here refers to some ambiguous they.
Uh-huh.
They say, people are saying, or I heard blah, blah, blah. We'll cite the source if it's true. Tell us who said it. Give us some information. I'm very careful not to use weasel words because that's all Steve Deese does, and others like Hank Kunneman and Kenneth Copeland and, you know, the thought leaders in this movement. Weasel words all the way down.
It's the mouse in his pocket whispering different ideals.
Right.
Pedo groomers should be executed, by the way.
And when he says pedo groomers, he doesn't mean Trump. I know. Surprise. I was surprised to learn that he wasn't talking about Trump as well. He's talking about he's talking about anyone to the left of hunting immigrants for sport. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. That dude is just disgusting. Just a disgusting scumbag.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they worked together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Romana Didulo, I don't know if you guys know this person. She's a cult leader. She's a leader of a cult called the Queen of Canada. It's been a while since I've talked about her. She was arrested. Charges against Romana Didulo include intimidation of a justice participant. Let's read this article, and then we'll talk a little bit more about who she is and what she's done. The self-proclaimed Queen of Canada cult leader arrived, cuffed and shackled as she made her first appearance at Swift Current Provincial Court on Friday. As Romana Didulo, 50, stepped out of the police van, she delivered a simple message to a small crowd of supporters and media. "Remember, innocent until proven guilty," she said as she entered the building at about 10:30 a.m. This is apparently, I guess this is a video of her being brought out. She's wearing a suit. Interesting. She's been brought to, like, the courthouse, I guess. Wow, she's very short. Or that guy is very, very tall. I can't tell which. Certainly there are like a billion supporters like all over the place, right? I guess I wish they'd turn the camera around. The cult leader she's a QAnoner. I don't know if I mentioned. She leads a QAnon cult, a unique QAnon cult. The cult leader was one of the 16 people who were arrested by the RCMP, or the Canadian Police, after a raid at a compound in Richmond, Saskatchewan on Wednesday. Yeah, they have a full-blown compound as far as I'm aware. I think they're staying in a school, last I heard, an abandoned school. I'm not sure if they're still there or what. All 16 people were initially released without charges, but police quickly rearrested Didulo, who calls herself the Queen of Canada, and Ricky Mans, who owns the compound in the village located 365 kilometers west of Regina. Didulo and Mans have both been charged with failure to comply with an undertaking and intimidation of a justice participant. The failure to comply charge is because the pair were not supposed to contact each other. RCMP said the intimidation charge is related to an investigation in Richmond in July. Information discussed during Didulo's appearance Friday indicates that the charge is related to intimidating 4 people, including a police officer. Oh my God. Didulo repeatedly told Judge Alan Jacobson that she did not consent to her arrest, that she wanted a hearing under natural law. Oh my God. And that her case should be dismissed. Oh, it's so stupid. Let's talk about who this person is. Romana Didulo is the leader of a QAnon cult that believes that she is the Queen of Canada, appointed by Donald Trump. Now, I've been covering her since her earliest days, and they've done some pretty flamboyant, like, incredible, crazy things before. Here's a shortened version of her announcement. She was basically the leader of a group, or of a political campaign, or a political whatever. She was running for office in Canada. And when she lost, she claimed that she was appointed as the Queen of Canada by the White Hat military, and she's in communication with Donald Trump and a whole bunch of other stuff. When Russia invaded Ukraine, she claimed that she had been appointed by the White Hat military to be the mediator between Ukraine and Russia, and a bunch of other insane, nonsensical trash. And she has a Telegram channel, which is where that's kind of her platform or whatever. And it's got, last I checked, somewhere around 70,000 subbies on it. But these people are very, very active. Like, meet up with her. They took over a school recently. One of the people in the cult owns this abandoned school, and he let her move in with her cult. Thousands, at least hundreds of people all move into this school in this neighborhood, I believe in Richmond, Saskatchewan, and start terrorizing this town. Start trying to, they're going to the city council meetings and, you know, causing all kinds of problems and everything. Full-blown religious cult, Heaven's Gate style. So listen to her announcing in 2021 that she is the Queen of Canada.
Hello, Canada. I'm Romana Didulo. I'm the founder and leader of Canada First. As of February this year, 2021,
Canada First is the name of the political party.
I am the head of state and commander-in-chief of Canada, the Republic. In case you're wondering who appointed me as the head of state and commander-in-chief of the Republic of Canada, the people who appointed me are the White Hats and the U.S. military, together with the global allied troops and their governments. The same group of people who have helped President Trump. The same group of people who have seized the assets of the Vatican Church. The same group of people who have seized the assets of the fake royal family of the UK, installed by the central bankers 200 plus years ago. The same group of people who have seized the assets of the 13 family bloodlines.
This is all QAnon stuff, and also QAnon is a rebranded Nazi death cult. What she's referring to here is basically Nazi conspiracy theories about Jews. The 13 bloodlines, the Rothschilds, and all of that. This is all lies about Jews, basically.
The same group of people who have seized the assets of most, if not all, royal families of Europe. And I would like to send a very special thanks and greetings to our digital soldiers on Telegram. Now, I would like to address the vaccinations and injections happening across the Republic.
Dude, I'm telling you, COVID broke some people's brains for real. Like, her mind is just shot, bro.
As far back as late February, early March of this year, right immediately I took my oath as the head of state and commander-in-chief. I declared Canada a vaccine-free nation, which means all of the vaccines and injections happening across the Republic is unlawful, criminal, and is crime against humanity. Know this, inside the Republic, the penalty for crimes against humanity, treason, economic sabotage, and bioterrorism is death.
So she's saying that this is a decree from her. She has a bunch of decrees like this on her website here. These are her royal decrees, numbers 1 through 250. And it's stuff like, Her Majesty, I am Queen Romana. She calls herself I am Queen, like, you know, like God. I tell them that my name is I am or whatever. I am Queen Romana, head of state and commander-in-chief, head of government, queen and president. In the Kingdom of Canada, urgent royal decree, declaration and proclamation of the new national capital city of the Kingdom of Canada to the attention of the Kingdom of Canada's armed forces, the Kingdom of Canada's special forces and allied special forces, the Kingdom of Canada's Space Force. She thinks that Canada has a Space Force. We the people of the Kingdom of Canada, Bureau of National Treasury of the Kingdom of Canada, so on and so forth. So what's a proclamation? Like, she didn't even give us a proclamation? What is it, multi-page? Where's she just lists a bunch of stuff? I don't understand. I don't understand. Am I missing something? Oh, I am missing something. Here we go. Oh, I have the Telegram link. Wait, the user isn't found. Oh, shoot. Where's Queen of Canada? Her Royal Majesty, Queen Romana Didulo I. Deutsch. Oh my God, there's a German one. I can't find the right one, but she has, like, at one point she had like 70,000 subbies, so it's somewhere in there. Anyway, the point is that she makes these royal decrees and stuff all the time. Here's one. I just wanted an example. Transport infrastructure and highways, trade and commerce, permanent ban on electric vehicles forthwith. She banned electric vehicles. So that's who we're dealing with. That kind of person. Now you know. Keep listening here.
You will be tried for crimes against humanity.
For giving people vaccinations, basically.
Under Nuremberg Code. And if that is not enough, as the head of state and commander-in-chief of the Republic of Canada, I will convene a military tribunal.
Okay, well, where is it? Let's see it.
And charge you with crime against humanity, treason, bioterrorism, and economic sabotage.
She's going to charge people with economic sabotage, okay.
All of which carry, as I've already mentioned, death penalty. So I urge you to consider very, very carefully your options. Because should time come when the head of state and commander-in-chief of the Republic of Canada, and that is I, must sign your execution papers for these crimes against the Republic, I will do so.
She's violent too. She's willing to do all kinds of psychotic, really messed up stuff. She has gone as far as to tell people on her Telegram, it's time, with a picture of a gun. But nobody ever actually takes that additional step to do something psychotic. They intimidate people. They walk into stores and they follow people around to scare them, to make them leave. You know, it's just insane. Heaven's Gate level insane. I mean, let's go all the way down the rabbit hole. Why not, right? Here's a video of her trying to get an interview with Fox News as the Queen of Canada. This is February 2022, by the way.
What's happening here? Oh yeah, got it.
So this building has like purple lights in it, and she's pointing to it to try to tell the cameraman to capture that, claiming that those purple lights are turned on in deference to her, claiming that all of these government agencies recognize her as some special, unique whatever. She believes she's a space alien, by the way, a space alien born into the body of a Canadian, which is particularly amusing because she's not even Canadian, she's Filipino. She claims to be native-born Canadian, like a native Canadian, like, God, I don't know how, like an Indian, you know, but except Canadian Indian or whatever, like a Native American, I guess, yeah, Native American, just Native North American. Anyway, she claims to be a Native North American. She's not. She's Filipino. That's the point.
Very quiet. This is where they were, right here. There they are. Queen, Your Majesty.
They literally call her Your Majesty and Queen. Vomit to kingdom come.
Your Majesty to the left. Right here.
Indigenous, thank you. I couldn't think of the name. Damn it. I was trying to think of a term that would clarify what I was talking about. It could not for the life of me figure out what it... Yes, indigenous. She claims to be indigenous to Canada, like one of the earliest people to settle Canada or to live in Canada, but no, she's not.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Right here. Right here. Right here. There's a slave. Right here. Right here. There you go. Are you guys Fox News? Yes? I'm Queen Romana of Canada. How are you?
How do I
nice to meet you. Your Majesty.
Your Majesty.
How do I address you? Your Majesty. Oh my God, it's so painful. Oh my God.
I'm well. How are you?
I do apologize.
It's all right. It's all right. No need to apologize. Are you willing to do an interview
I can't.
with the Queen of Canada?
We're done for the day, but we have another crew that's replacing us right here, and they might use that stuff. How's that?
Definitely, yes.
And they're Fox News. They're just my replacement. We're just white. We're tired. We haven't eaten, and we're cold, and we got to get back to the hotel.
All right. Provide me their contact information.
He's right here, Michael, and his reporter and producer are around somewhere, so they'll be here shortly.
Okay, so this guy, this cameraman basically just said, that's the guy, Michael, that you want to talk to, right? He pointed to this dude in frame and said, that's Michael, go talk to him. Remember that.
Hi there, sorry to interrupt. Michael, I'm Queen Romana of Canada. How are you?
Pleased to meet you. How did you know my name?
He says, pleased to meet you. How did you know my name?
But of course. I have my details.
I have my details. The dude just told her his name, and she's pretending that she researched him or some shit. This is insane.
Yes? So, Michael, I came here specifically looking for...
Anyway, the point is, middle. He says, no, I'm not interviewing you, you nutbag, in kinder words than that. She has inspired violent action from her supporters, too. She ordered her people to basically arrest the police officers at some police precinct because she didn't like them. I don't even remember what it was all about. So this mass of supporters, like lots and lots of people, show up, maybe 100 or more, show up to this police department to arrest them
It's just going to be peaceful, okay? I truly believe in my heart all of you are here because you're tired of living this way, okay? So we are the people who are going to make a difference today. We're going to request the military come and remove the criminals that have helped orchestrate this crime against the people.
It was something about they were doing a vaccine drive or something for COVID. And she told them she was going to send the military to arrest these people, the police department, I mean. And she needed her supporters there to arrest the police officers ahead of time and hold them until the military arrives to take them to the brig or whatever the hell they think they're taking them to.
Okay. So again, if I could ask everybody just to be peaceful, I'll do the talking, and we'll wait for the military. Okay?
We'll wait for the military.
So if you all want to come in, we'll see how it goes here.
So basically, the police department sees what's happening and locks the doors. And I covered this forever ago. I don't want to go through the whole thing again right now, but they got word at the very last moment. And there's even a police vehicle out back that somebody got out of and sprinted in and locked the door behind them and left their vehicle running because they knew these people were here with like violence on the mind. And what's the complaint, I hear you asking? The complaint is that they did a vaccine thing and that these police officers were not arresting. I think it was something like the lead police officer at this department had his kid with him in public recently, and his kid was wearing red shoes. And they got in their heads that red shoes means this kid is being trafficked and taken advantage of. Not just that, like, some people wear red shoes. It's just a fucking shoe. But that there's some underlying conspiracy, and now they're here to arrest him because the whole department is corrupt and everything else.
So as you can see, the crowd has landed at the Peterborough Police Station. Frank is inside the vestibule. He's planning to arrest police and wait for the military. There's a few dozen folks around, and we'll see what happens next.
So you know why they're not here? I think this is a pretty good indication of their position.
That they're scared shitless that there's a crowd outside that's about to do something psychotic? Yeah.
Yeah, it is, Frank. We could all start to call 911.
Yeah.
Genius. Flood the emergency line with fake calls. Good idea. Yes. On point. Who thought of that?
Yeah.
Maybe I should just punch the hell out of that guy and then they'll come.
No.
I'm joking. Yeah, I know. But people like that are killing our kids, man.
Bro, why are they wearing 1776 shirts? They're from Canada. Why is their tagline, "We the People"? Why are they so obsessed with American history? Look at this shirt. For crimes against humanity, wanted Trudeau, Tam, and Hadju. I looked these people up at one point. I don't remember who they are, except Trudeau, of course, is the ex-prime minister. Anyway, so it kind of goes on like that for a while. The point is, she's been arrested. And I want to get back to the article. But there's one more thing before we get to the article that I want to show you guys, kind of contextualize what this is all about now. This video right here, this is the one I was looking for. Richmond. I believe that this, as far as I know, they're still living in this school here.
Tonight, a community is on edge after a far-right conspiracy theorist and her followers move in and make threats. We begin tonight near the Alberta border, northwest of Maple Creek, where an extremist cult leader and her followers have set up camp in a small Saskatchewan village. The group has called for public execution of elected officials and other people in the area. Laura Sharpaletti has this story.
What used to be a school is now home to a cult. Self-proclaimed Queen of Canada, Romana Didulo, is known as a far-right QAnon conspiracy theorist. Didulo and some of her followers call themselves the Kingdom of Canada. The group arrived in Richmond on September 15th. They've been staying at the former school, invited by the property owner. Locals say they're nervous about the cult's extreme belief and behavior and the potential impact on children there. On September 24th, the village held a protest outside the school, calling for the cult to leave. Then this week, Didulo's followers emailed a threatening letter to village administration, saying if it didn't follow the decrees of the Queen, they would face judgment.
The town that they set up in, Richmond, is very, very small, very low population. And if I remember correctly, I believe that they almost outnumber the townspeople. It's like 100-something people. And I think Didulo brought like 120-something people with her. Not good.
And if found guilty of crimes against humanity or treason, you will face publicly broadcast executions upon yourselves and undeserved devastation upon your children, grandchildren, and families. The mayor says residents are on edge.
People are just staying in their houses more, and their heads are on 360. They're swiveling, whatever. And that's what it should be. But it shouldn't be for the kids. Shouldn't be for families. It's just something that our small community in Richmond, our great community, should not have this.
An expert who studied Didulo and her followers says the threats should be taken seriously. So does the mayor.
We should not ignore it. We don't know what their intentions are. We don't know how seriously any one of her followers take it. And
Completely seriously. 100% seriously. Absolutely. These are not safe people.
we do know that she is true believers.
What does happen if something does happen to a kid, and then everybody says, oh, maybe we should have did something, and that's too late then.
Premier Scott Moe says the Ministry of Justice is discussing the situation.
I most certainly will provide, I think, the community some advice and some options on how they can, ultimately protect the serenity of their community, and the government would support that.
We're monitoring very closely the commentaries, the activities of the group, to gauge, whether or not there's aspects of criminality with respect to their activities.
RCMP say they are increasing their presence in the village. They also say they're investigating the threats of public execution. Laura Sharpaletti, CBC News, Regina.
Just holy right? Holy. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally, so it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult, and you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. So check this out. Self-proclaimed Queen of Canada facing charges allowing investigation in Saskatchewan. Apparently, she had weapons at that school. She was stockpiling weapons. The self-proclaimed Queen of Canada and one other face charges following an investigation in Richmond, Saskatchewan that saw 16 people taken into custody. Officers said they first executed a search warrant in the southwestern Saskatchewan community at a privately owned former school where Romana Didulo and her followers had taken up residence around 4:30 a.m. Wednesday after a report of an individual with a firearm. So the guy that was arrested with her owns the school and was allowing her to stay there. RCMP say officers arrested 16 people, including Didulo, and found 4 imitation handguns during a preliminary investigation. Further investigation led to the discovery and seizure of 13 imitation semi-automatic handguns, ammunition, as well as a large number of electronic handguns, according to an update from RCMP on Thursday. What's an imitation handgun? Let me see if I can find this out. It's a fake firearm designed to look like a real handgun, but isn't capable of firing live ammunition. Well, I'm not sure why they care about that then. Were they planning to, hold people up as a threat or something? Is that what it was? They had ammunition and semi-automatic. No, they had semi-automatic handguns that are apparently imitation, but they had ammunition. The 16 individuals were released from police custody, with 5 people subject to an undertaking. RCMP say a man and a woman were rearrested
as the two breached a condition that they do not contact one another. That was Didulo and the owner of the school, I believe. In a Thursday evening update from RCMP, the identity of the woman was confirmed to be Didulo, 50, who now faces 1 count of failure to comply, for talking to the guy, with undertaking conditions, and 1 count of intimidation of a justice system participant. Ricky Mans, 61, is charged with 1 count of failure to comply with the release order condition, and he owns the school. 1 count of intimidation of a justice system participant, 1 count of failure to comply with undertaking condition. Didulo and Mans were arrested on Thursday near the decommissioned school that was subject to the search warrant. Both of the accused are scheduled to appear in Swift Current Provincial Court on Friday morning. RCMP say the investigation continues. Mans, the owner of the former school in Richmond, was previously charged with assault, resisting arrest, and uttering threats. Earlier this month, the village office closed its doors to the public, citing harassment and intimidation towards staff. Didulo rose to prominence in the wave of alt subcultures that emerged during the protests against COVID-19 pandemic. Prior to taking up residence in Richmond, her followers were forced out of Kamsack, Saskatchewan, on September 13th, 2023. Richmond, Saskatchewan is located north of Maple Creek, near the Alberta border. Anyway, wow, dude, that's nuts. That is nuts. So she's rearrested, she's brought to the courthouse, and she says innocent until proven guilty. Is that even in Canadian law, or is that American law again, like US law? Because Canadian law is not the same as American law. They do work differently. And they seem to have this weird obsession with, like, the United States, right? Officers said they first executed a search warrant in the southwestern Saskatchewan community at the privately owned former school, where Didulo and her followers had taken up residence around 4:30 a.m. As she was arraigned by Justice Alan Jacobson, Didulo referred to herself as Her Majesty the Queen Ramana Dulo I. While the judge urged her multiple times to hire a lawyer, given her inexperience with the justice system, Didulo refused to do so and repeatedly objected to the charges made against her. Didulo also said she does not subject herself to the codes of statutory law and instead follows what she calls natural law. I consent only to represent myself under natural law, she said multiple times. That tells me that she's also a sovereign citizen. You'll be charged according to the criminal code, which is statutory, Justice Jacobson responded. You may say to me, Judge Jacobson, you are a bold-faced liar. I may disagree with what you're saying, but I understand what you're saying, he explained to Didulo. That is a difference. When you have the accusations against you, they're just accusations, and I presume you're innocent until proven guilty. Okay, there you go. Didulo will remain in custody until her bail hearing at Swift Current Provincial Court on Monday at 9:30 a.m. I request to be tried under natural law court only, Didulo told reporters outside the court after being taken back into custody. It was denied, and I did not give consent to statutory law. Okay, now here's Ricky Mans' little bit. Mans is charged with 1 count of failure to comply with a release order condition, 1 count of intimidation of a justice system participant, 1 count of failure to comply with undertaking condition. He's also facing 7 additional charges relating to previous incidents, including assaults, resisting arrest, mischief, uttering threats, and obstructing municipalities. The Crown also opposed Mans' release Friday. These allegations I'm being held on are not true, Mans told the court. I'm asking to be released on my own accord, and I'll come back to court. I promise. I bet you will, Ricky. Mans also used natural law language throughout his hearing. The Supreme Court of Canada is under natural law, he claimed. I am bound by the criminal code, as is any court of Canada, Judge Jacobson responded. In the minds of some people, there's a conflict with natural law. I don't think there is, but it always depends on what a person believes. Oh my God, dude, these people. Similarly to Didulo, Mans is scheduled to appear for a bail hearing Monday morning in Swift Current. However, he is seeking the assistance of legal aid. Okay, that's a wise decision. Both Didulo and Mans were also served non-contact orders for 5 people, including each other. Mans also had several other individuals, including 2 police officers, added to his court order. Earlier this month, the village office closed its doors to the public, citing harassment and intimidation towards staff. Didulo rose to prominence in the wave of subcultures, blah, 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 yeah. Wow, man. That's crazy. That is nuts. I feel so bad for the people of this town. For real. What are they supposed to do? That is really, really scary. Imagine a full-blown right-wing extremist violent cult moving into your little community just down the street, into an abandoned school. I'm so curious about what it looks like inside of that compound. I wonder if I can, like, contact, like, a news agency and convince one of their investigative journalists to try to get in there and, like, go undercover or something. That would be fascinating. I mean, I can find lots of pictures of the outside, but God, they must have, like, each individual classroom must, like, be a bedroom, right? For people or something. And they probably decorate it their own way. I so want to know what it looks like on the inside. And they probably have, like, you know, like plumbing and like electrical and all those facilities all set up and running and everything, right? Absolutely wild. Tell me what you think about it in the comments.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon.
Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com.
I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. If you're unfamiliar with Ryan Walters, this is him on the left. He has instituted a test that teachers have to pass before they can teach in Oklahoma schools. I want to look at the test, but first let me introduce you to him.
So the student is academically successful.
Talking about a white student as being persecuted in Oklahoma schools. He's the Oklahoma superintendent over all of Oklahoma schools.
Has got an understanding of academics to enter the workforce to have a successful life, but the school is going to force the cultism of wokeism onto this child. Enough is enough. They are trying to trans these kids. They are pushing this indoctrination onto kids. Enough is enough. We have got to fight back against this. Thank God for President Trump. Thank God for school choice. Thank God for parents like these parents that are fighting back against this woke nonsense.
It is one more. I want to play one more soundbite, Nicole, from the father here. Well, again, we disguised his voice because they just didn't want to be.
Oh, you know, because the white people in Oklahoma are so persecuted, right? Totally.
They want to be identified. Watch this.
The guideline for respecting religious diversity was changed, and it now states that you cannot opt out.
I believe they wanted to opt out of a sex ed class, if I remember correctly, that addresses being gay.
So we felt like we missed the opportunity when it was available to us. They didn't follow through at that time on their own policies that were written in the handbook and give us the opt-out.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. You shouldn't be able to opt out of sex ed class. I was opted out of sex ed class. I didn't have one because I was a Jehovah's Witness and they didn't believe that I should, whatever other stupid nonsense. That is education that every human being in the United States should have. It's important to know. You shouldn't be able to make your kid less intelligent than everybody around them just because you want to. And Ryan Walters is out here parading around protecting this kid when he's not doing anything about this. This really happened in Oklahoma schools. 6 kids spelling out the N-word, holding up little sheets of paper, spelling it out. And what did Ryan Walters do about this? Nothing. He did nothing. He didn't acknowledge it. He didn't, go to the school and talk to anybody. He didn't investigate. He did nothing. But he cares about this poor white student who's being persecuted for being white, right? I think it's clear what kind of person Ryan Walters is. Let's read this article on Hemant Mehta's website, The Friendly Atheist. Oklahoma's meaningless America First teacher test is just a PragerU ad campaign. PragerU wrote this test, this America First test, quote unquote. When your state lies at the bottom of national education rankings, it would make sense to figure out how you can attract better teachers, provide more funding to public schools, and make sure the curriculum is solid in order to help students achieve success in college and beyond. Yeah, Oklahoma, they just did another poll or whatever, a test or statistics, whatever, and found that Oklahoma ranks 49th or 50th out of 50 states in education, depending on which statistic you're looking at. Oklahoma's superintendent of public instruction, Ryan Walters, has done none of those things. His solutions have involved giving public money to private or religious schools and shoving the Bible into as many classes as possible. He's not trying to attract the best teachers either. Dude got a mustache, and I'm sorry, man, this mustache is rough. It's real rough. You got to get rid of that mustache, man. You look more like a pedo now than you did before, and that's saying something. Instead, he announced over the summer that any educators coming to Oklahoma from woke states like New York or California would have to essentially pass an ideology test created by the right-wing propaganda group PragerU. For now, let's set aside the question of why anyone would voluntarily move from New York or California to Oklahoma. The exam, Walters said, would assess teachers' knowledge of things like the Constitution and fundamental biological differences between boys and girls, quote unquote. Why would the state impose any sort of hurdle on otherwise qualified teachers? It seems absurd, especially when the state is suffering from a massive teacher shortage. That's because this isn't actually a test at all. It's an advertising gimmick to promote PragerU. Seriously, this is as much of a test as PragerU is a university, which is to say, it's not. That's part of the scam. This has all been part of a massive publicity stunt to promote right-wing BS under the guise of tough education reform. That's not just me engaging in hyperbole or exaggeration. It literally won't prevent qualified teachers from working in Oklahoma, even if they come from New York or California. One reason I know is because I took the America First questionnaire and aced it, even though I purposely answered everything wrong, because Hemant Mehta was a teacher. On Sunday, PragerU published the entire 34-question list as part of a full-page ad in the New York Times, in addition to another ad on the front page. Being woke is bad, they say, but apparently giving money to a woke newspaper for the sake of attention is good. Can you pass this test? All right, now let me see if I can pull the test up and, blow it up so I can see it clearer. All right, let's see what's on the test here. According to the Supreme Court cases Meyer v. Nebraska, 1923, and Pierce, I think it's actually Pierce v. Society of Sisters, 1925, who has the ultimate right to direct a child's education? The superintendent of schools, the parents, the Board of Education, or the Federal Department of Education? I'm sure that they want the answer to be the parents. What is the fundamental biological distinction between males and females? Height and weight, blood type, personal preference, or chromosomes and reproductive anatomy? How is a child's biological sex typically identified? Parental affirmation of child's preference, personal feelings, visual anatomical observation and chromosomes, or online registration? Jesus Christ, dude, this is a creepy test already. Which chromosome pair determines biological sex in humans? AABB, XXXY, RHAB, or XEXQ? It's so stupid, dude. Oh my God, it's stupid. Why is the distinction between male and female considered important in areas like sports and privacy? For equity in minority communities? To preserve fairness, safety, integrity for both sexes? To increase participation in sports? Or to enhance the self-esteem of transgender children? Should teachers be allowed to express their own political viewpoints in the classroom in order to persuade the students to adopt their point of view? Yes, teachers have freedom of speech too, which does not stop at the classroom door. Wait, that's interesting. That's an interesting question that I wouldn't have expected them to ask. No, once you become a teacher, your freedom of speech in and out of the classroom is restricted. Yes, sometimes when the issue involves civil rights or social justice, or no, the classroom is not an appropriate venue for political activism. That's interesting, because Ryan Walters completely disagrees with that. The answer they're looking for, of course, is D. No, the classroom is not an appropriate venue for political activism. The real answer is yes, sometimes. Teachers cannot push religious agendas specifically in classrooms. Political is a little more complicated because there are political classes like civics and stuff, but teachers can't push religious agendas in classrooms because they're representatives of the state at that moment. It's like members of the military not being allowed to make political statements while wearing their uniforms. Sometimes you do have limits on your speech. When you're acting as a representative of the government, you cannot espouse certain positions or beliefs as that representative. When you leave the classroom, you can say or do whatever you want. Donald Trump has freedom of speech, but if he uses his freedom of speech to direct, the Department of Justice to arrest somebody that he doesn't like or whatever, that's him acting as an agent of the government. And it's no longer Donald Trump doing it. It's president doing it, obviously. But, that nuance is completely lost on people like this.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Here's number 7. What did the Supreme Court rule in the 2025 case Mahmoud v. Taylor, or verse Taylor, I suppose? A. Gender-affirming medical procedures are allowed in America. B. Students must recite the Pledge of Allegiance in schools. C. Religious schools must hire non-religious staff. Or D. Public schools cannot require participation in LGBT-themed instruction without a parental opt-out. I'm not actually sure what the answer is to this, but the bottom line is they're trying to propagandize here. It really is just a political ad. Let's just read some of the questions. What are the first 3 words of the U.S. Constitution? In God we trust, we the people, life, liberty, and happiness, or the United States. Why is freedom of religion important to America's identity? What are the 2 parts of the U.S. Congress? How many total U.S. senators are there? Why do some states have more representatives than others? What is the primary responsibility of the president's cabinet? Who signs bills into law? What's the highest court in the U.S.? In the U.S., which of the following is a responsibility reserved only for citizens? And the answers are serve on a jury, own a home, pay taxes, possess a driver's license. Which of the following are explicitly listed in the Bill of Rights? Which right does the Second Amendment protect? What is the supreme law of the United States? Who wrote the first draft of the Declaration of Independence? Actually, I'm thinking it was John Adams. Let me see. Who wrote the first draft of the Declaration of Independence? I thought it said Constitution for some reason. I think that would have been Thomas Jefferson then. Yeah, that was Thomas Jefferson. About the Constitution. Wait, it wasn't drafted the same way as the Declaration of Independence. So James Madison was really the key figure with the Constitution. What is the supreme law of the United States? Who wrote the first draft? When was the Declaration of Independence adopted? What was the primary reason the colonists fought the British? Who were the first 3 U.S. presidents? Who is called the father of our country? What did the Emancipation Proclamation do? So the rest pretty much look vanilla, regular, just whatever. They're not like inflammatory. It was the first 10 questions that were ridiculous and insane and just looking for attention. Who was the president during the Great Depression and World War II? What's the name of the national anthem? Why are there 13 stripes on the American flag? It's because of the 13 colonies, I believe. Which national holiday honors those who died while serving in the U.S. military? Which of the following is a phrase from the Pledge of Allegiance? And from whom does the United States government derive its power? Yeah, it's all regular stuff, except for the beginning. But, seeing this got me to thinking about other political tests. And as it happens, there's a period of time in German history in the 30s when there was a test you had to take to legalize to become a pastor. See, the Protestant church in Germany split in the 30s and was taken over by the Nazis. It was a Nazified version of Christianity called the Deutsche Christen, or the German Christians. And they believed that Jesus was the first Aryan and the first anti-Semite, and there was this eternal struggle between anti-Semites, between Semites and Aryans and a bunch of other things like that. And they took over the Protestant church, and pastors had to, quote-unquote, legalize by taking the tests again. Becoming a pastor is very difficult, actually, in all seriousness. It does require, a lot of education and stuff, and hermeneutics and so on and so forth. Got to be educated in the I am statements in the book of John and all this other complicated stuff. So when the Nazis took over in Germany, when they took over the church, the Protestant church, they made all of the pastors go through their qualification again, their ordinance, to take the test. And it's kind of like a bar exam in that there's a character and fitness aspect to it and all this other stuff. So it was almost like you had to go through a new layer of vetting to be a pastor. Kind of like what we've got here. You got to go through a new layer of vetting to be a teacher in Oklahoma now. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally. So it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult, and you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. And I don't know if you guys knew about this, but there was, in Louisiana and other states, they had literacy tests that they made people take before they could register to vote, for example, and a number of other things. But the literacy test is unpassable. Just listen to some of these questions. Here's number one. Draw a line around the number or letter of this sentence. Draw a line around the number or letter of this sentence. Draw a line under the last word in this line. Cross out the longest word in this line. Draw a line around the shortest word in this line. Circle the first letter. And now I'm going to read that again. Circle the first letter of the alphabet in this line. It was written in a confusing way, intentionally confusing way, so that there isn't really a correct answer. There are some answers that are like a little bit more correct, I guess. But at the end of the day, correctness is kind of adjudicated by the test grader, right? And if the person just doesn't want you to pass the test, they're just not going to let you pass the test, since there aren't really any correct answers. These types of politically charged tests have existed throughout history, is my ultimate point here, and they always end badly. They're always used to filter out a minority group that people don't want involved in whatever activity they're gatekeeping. In the space below, draw 3 circles, one inside engulfed by the other. Above the letter X, make a small cross. Draw a line through the letter below that comes earliest in the alphabet. Draw a line through the 2 letters below that come last in the alphabet. In the first circle below, write the last letter of the first word beginning with L. What the f*** does that even mean? What does that even mean? Okay, so just for the audio audience, we have 5 circles right next to each other in a line. In the first circle below, write the last letter of the first word beginning with L. I mean, really, think about that. How would one answer that? I have no clue how I would answer that. That doesn't make any sense. It was written like that on purpose. Cross out the number necessary when making the number below 1 million. Draw a line from circle 2 to circle 5 that will pass below circle 2 and above circle 4. So does that mean you like start outside of the 1 or outside of the 2 and then circle around like the 4 and then under the 5? Does that mean you start in the center of circle 2 and then go around? Like, what does that mean? In the line below, cross out each number that is more than 20 but less than 30. And we got a series of numbers, 31, 16, 48, 29, 53. It's completely unpassable, is the point. When we start gatekeeping with political agendas, it ends badly. That's my point. When we gatekeep with political agendas, it ends badly. And that is exactly what this PragerU test is. And they can say, oh, the answers are so simple. They're not really simple because the answers that they're giving aren't exactly correct. A lot of these answers are not exactly right. And they can very easily filter people out through the subjectivity of the test grader. That's the bottom line here. They're scumbags. And this is a really bad road to go down. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments. That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.